The Bold and the Beautiful, BNB, recap for Monday, November 17th, reveals that Luna Nozawa, Lisa Yamada, managed to sneak in the beach house, where she reunited with Will Spencer, Crew Morrow, after Electra Forrester, Linnea Grace, left. At the Cliff House, Steffi Forrester, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, had a romantic dinner with John Finnegan, Tanner Novlin, before they curled up on the sofa since the kids were at sleepovers. That gave Finn and Steffi a chance to celebrate their love and reflect on Luna not being a problem anymore now that she was locked up. After Luna finished making her laundry cart escape, she hid out of sight near the beach house. While Will and Electra were taking a walk together, a woman in a bathing suit dropped some clothes nearby and used the outdoor shower. Luna grabbed the clothes and put them on before Will returned with Electra. Will spotted the woman using the shower and ordered her to scram since she was on private property. Electra was a little creeped out over the multiple intruders lately, but she quickly put her attention back on Will. Luna was disgusted as she watched Will and Electra share some makeout sessions. Ivy Forrester, Ashley Brewer, eventually summoned Electra back to work, but she promised to return to Will later. Once Electra exited on Monday's BNB episode, Luna took that as her cue to sneak in the beach house and reconnect with Will. Although Will initially thought Electra forgot something, he was shocked to see Luna standing in his living room instead. Luna smiled at Will and insisted she had to come see him. At the Spencer mansion, Bill Spencer, Don Diamont, remained elated over his reunion with Katie Logan, Heather Tom, and hated that it had taken him so long to get his act together. Bill proved he was truly working on himself when he held back his anger over business call and took a nicer approach with an employee. Katie and Bill ultimately ended up talking about Luna since Katie loathed her for what she'd done to Will. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Bill and Katie have some terrible news ahead of them, so we'll bring you updates on their reaction to Luna's getaway. The California sun, a brilliant orb of gold, casts long, dramatic shadows across the manicured lawns of the Forrester estate, but its warmth did little to penetrate the chill of uncertainty that had settled over the lives of its inhabitants. Monday, November 17th, on The Bold and the Beautiful, was a day of clandestine missions, emotional reunions, and the kind of simmering tensions that promised to boil over into a cataclysm of drama. At the heart of it all was Luna Nozawa, a young woman whose love had propelled her across an ocean, only to find herself navigating a minefield of family secrets and forbidden desires. Luna's journey from the bustling streets of San Francisco to the serene, opulent coast of Los Angeles had been a whirlwind of anxiety and desperate hope. Her mother, Poppy, had been vehemently against this trip, her warnings laced with a fear that seemed to go beyond typical maternal concern. But Luna, with a single-minded focus of first love, could not be deterred. The memory of R.J. Ferrector's kiss, a sweet and searing brand on her soul, was a siren's call she was powerless to resist. She had to see him. She had to explain her abrupt departure, to bridge the chasm that her mother's intervention had created. Yet, arriving at the imposing Forrester Creations building, her courage began to falter. The sleek glass and steel structure felt like a fortress, and she was an uninvited intruder. What if RJ had moved on? What if her silence had been misinterpreted as disinterest? The doubts swarmed like gnats, clouding her resolve. It was then, from her discreet vantage point, that she saw him. RJ was exiting the building with his father, Ridge Forrester. The sight of him, his familiar gait, the easy smile he offered his father, sent a jolt through her system, equal parts exhilaration and terror. She wasn't ready. Not for a confrontation in public, not for a potential rejection witnessed by the entire fashion world. Retreating, her mind raced, searching for a solution, for a place where they could meet on neutral, private ground. And then, it came to her, the Forrester Beach House. The very place where their connection had first sparked, where they had shared conversations about art, life, and their dreams under the starlit canopy. It was a place of significance, of memories. If she could get inside, she could wait for him. It was a reckless plan, born of desperation, but it was all she had. Meanwhile, within the hallowed halls of Forrester Creations, a different kind of storm was brewing. Steffi Forrester, having firmly and finally dispatched Sheila Carter back to the shadows from whence she came, was now facing a domestic threat that was, in many ways, more insidious. Her husband, Finn, was wrestling with a profound and frustrating sense of guilt. His brief, ill-advised alliance with his biological mother, Sheila, had left a stain on his conscience that he couldn't seem to scrub clean, no matter how many times Steffi assured him the chapter was closed. "I just keep thinking about her, Steffi," Finn confessed, his voice low and strained in the quiet of Steffi's office. "The look in her eyes when we sent her away. She's a monster, I know she is. The things she's done are unforgivable. But she's also a part of me." Steffi's posture was rigid, a queen defending her kingdom. "John Finnegan, listen to me. That woman is a cancer. You cannot feel guilty for cutting a cancer out of your life. She threatened our family.
She threatened me.
She will never, ever be a part of our lives or our children's lives again." Her words were firm, but a flicker of worry danced in her eyes. She had won the war, but the battle for her husband's peace of mind was still being waged. Finn ran a hand through his hair, exasperated. "It's not that simple. Biology is a powerful thing, Steffi. I look at Hayes, and I feel this primal, unbreakable connection. How can I, as his father, completely deny the one I share with her? Because yours is rooted in love and protection. Hers is rooted in obsession and destruction," Steffi countered, her voice softening as she placed a hand on his arm. "Finn, you are the best man I know. Your compassion is one of the reasons I love you. But don't let that compassion become a weapon that Sheila uses to hurt us. It's over. We have to move forward.
For us.
For Kelly. For Hayes." Finn nodded, pulling her into a tight embrace, but the conflict did not leave his face. He was trying to bury the ghost of Sheila Carter, but she was a specter that refused to stay in the grave. As this marital drama unfolded, Hope Logan was grappling with a specter of her own, the memory of Thomas Forrester. Her decision to end their relationship, though morally sound from her perspective, had left a Thomas-shaped void in her life and her professional endeavors. Hope for the future, the line he had helped revitalize with his brilliant, passionate designs, was floundering without his creative direction. In the design office, surrounded by sketches that felt flat and uninspired, Hope sighed in frustration. "It's just not the same," she lamented to a junior designer. "The passion, the vision, it's missing." Her mother, Brooke, ever the vigilant protector, saw an opening. "Sweetheart, maybe it's a sign that it's time to pivot." Thomas brought a certain intensity to the line. "Perhaps now you can steer it back to its true roots. A future without that kind of complication is a brighter." But Hope's expression was wistful. "Complication, yes. But also genius." "He believed in the line, Mom. He believed in me in a way that was all-consuming." She shook her head, refusing to finish the thought. She had made her choice. She had to live with the professional consequences, even if they felt like a slow, creative death. The Bold and the Beautiful, BNB, spoilers recap for Wednesday, September 11th, reveals that Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig, assured Steffi Forrester, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, that she was planning on staying in LA for a while to make up for lost time with her family. Although Steffi felt confident in John Finnegan's, Tanner Novlin, love and commitment, Taylor feared Hope Logan, Annika Noel, could be an ongoing problem. However, Steffi said what Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang, did to Taylor and Ridge Forrester, Torsten K., wasn't going to happen with Hope, so she felt there was no need for Taylor to worry. In the design office, Brooke urged Hope to concentrate on her line and stop wasting energy focusing on her rivalry with Steffi. Hope vowed not to pursue Finn again, but Brooke still seemed worried about Hope's heart getting in the way of her intentions. Once Brooke was alone, she saw Taylor in the hallway and called her in. Brooke learned Steffi was already back at the office after her latest ordeal, so Taylor said it wasn't fair for Steffi and Finn to constantly be tested. Although Brooke hoped those days were behind Finn and Steffi, Taylor acted like she doubted Brooke's sincerity since she wasn't controlling her daughter. Since Brooke was Hope's mother, Taylor warned that she needed to put Hope on notice and tell her to stay away from Finn. Meanwhile, Hope found Steffi in the CEO office and suggested she was glad to see her back at Forrester Creations. Steffi assumed Hope was trying to butter her up and warned that she still needed to see a better performance from Hope for the future. Although Hope wanted to put all the animosity behind them, Steffi got riled up over the kiss Hope planted on Finn. If Hope wanted to prove she cared about Steffi and her family, then Steffi warned her not to be like Brooke. Steffi added that Hope should stay away from Finn and stay out of her marriage, or she'd regret it. At the hospital, Liam Spencer, Scott Clifton, stopped by to thank Finn for saving Steffi's life. After Liam apologized for reading Finn the riot act before, he was grateful that Finn stepped up for Steffi. Finn insisted he'd risk anything for Steffi's sake and added that when he'd fallen short, he'd done his best to make things up to her and be the loyal man she deserved. At the Spencer mansion on Wednesday's BNB episode, Will Spencer, Crew Morrow, and Katie Logan, Heather Tom, paid Bill Spencer, Don Diamont, a visit. After Will said he wasn't sure Poppy Nozawa, Romy Park, was the kind of woman Bill needed in his life, he acted like Bill already had the best woman in Katie, at least until he ruined things. Bill acknowledged that he indeed blew it, but Will hinted that maybe his parents could find happiness again. As he reflected on all the chaos that had gone down, Bill praised Katie as his guardian angel since she'd really looked out for him these last few months. Since Katie was really something special, Bill made a prediction that he wouldn't forget that. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Bill and Katie's reunion news could be looming, so we'll bring you updates on whether they'll truly get another chance. The Bold and the Beautiful, B&B. Spoilers recap for Friday, July 5th, reveals that Hope Logan, Annika Noel, finally got so uncomfortable that she ran away from the party, so Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang, found her and ultimately asked some tough questions. Brooke wondered if Hope was second-guessing things and asked if she wished she'd said yes to Thomas's proposal. Hope didn't give her mom a straight answer, so Brooke tried again and asked if Hope would say yes if Thomas handed her a ring right now. Hope didn't think it mattered since Thomas was with Paris Buckingham, Diamond White, but she was grateful to Brooke for being there for her. After Hope decided Thomas needed to hear what she had to say, she dashed off hoping to corner him privately. Meanwhile, Carter Walton, Lauren St. Victor, offered to serve as Thomas and Paris' officiant if they wanted him to, so they vowed to keep him in mind. Paris didn't really care about all the wedding details since she was secure in her relationship and feeling so connected to the man of her dreams. Next on Friday's B&B episode, Ridge Forrester, Torsten K., caught up with Brooke, who admitted Hope was hurting. Brooke said she asked about Hope's regrets and whether she'd say yes if Thomas asked her to marry him now, so Ridge was curious. However, Paris eventually interrupted since Thomas was supposed to meet her by the pool and wasn't there yet. Back inside the Forrester mansion, Thomas remembered Hope's second proposal rejection and looked pensive. Hope found Thomas moments later and made another plea for Thomas to remember what they shared. Thomas argued that Hope turned him down so many times, but Hope insisted that she wasn't turning down the idea of being with him. Hope begged Thomas not to jump into a new marriage with Paris, so he asked how many times she expected him to get rejected and come back. Thomas suggested maybe the time was right, so he said he'd give it a third try. "Will you marry me, Hope? Will you be my wife?" Thomas asked Hope, who stood there looking like a deer in headlights. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say this Hope, Thomas, and Paris triangle will remain complicated, so stick with us for more predictions on all the stunning news and romantic updates ahead. CDL will have other hot Bold and the Beautiful spoilers, predictions, updates, and news to read up on, so check back frequently for more B&B info. While the Forresters and Logans navigated their complex emotional landscapes, Luna was putting her audacious plan into action. With a heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird, she found herself at the familiar door of the beach house. A quick, furtive glance around confirmed the coast was clear. Drawing on a memory from a happier visit, she reached a trembling hand to the top of the doorframe, her fingers brushing against the cold, metallic spare key RJ had shown her with a boyish grin. For emergencies, he had said. She never imagined her emergency would be a clandestine reunion. Slipping inside, she was immediately enveloped by the familiar scent of salt air and sandalwood. The house was silent, pristine, and for a moment, she felt a pang of guilt for her intrusion. but her resolve hardened. This was for love. This was for them. Hours passed. The sun began its slow descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and violet. Luna, curled on the large sectional sofa, was jolted from a light, anxious sleep by the sound of the front door opening. Her breath hitched. This was it. But it wasn't RJ who walked in. It was Will Spencer, his small frame silhouetted in the doorway. He had come with his grandfather, Eric, for a brief visit to retrieve a forgotten sketchbook. Will's eyes, wide with surprise, locked onto Luna's. "Luna," he whispered, his voice filled with innocent confusion. A wave of sheer panic washed over Luna. She put a finger to her lips, her eyes pleading. "Will, it. Please. It's a secret." Will, a child well acquainted with the weighty, mysterious secrets of the adults in his world, studied her for a moment. The Bold and the Beautiful, BNB, spoilers recap for Thursday, October 5th, reveals that Eric Forrester, John McCook, struggled to play the piano before finally giving up and playing a version of the song on his phone. Donna Logan, Jennifer Garais, comforted Eric over his tremors and wondered if there was anything he needed to tell her. Eric kept quiet about coughing up blood earlier and reassured Donna. When RJ Forrester, Joshua Hoffman, arrived, Eric started talking about including diamonds in his new designs and didn't care about the expense. RJ also got another reminder that no one could know about Eric's secret health struggles, especially not Ridge Forrester, Torsten K. Once RJ was alone with Donna, he pushed her to come clean since he could tell something more was going on with Eric. Donna swore RJ to secrecy and admitted that Eric might be dealing with cerebrovascular disease, or TIAs. Since mini-strokes could be involved and lead to fatal complications, Donna explained that's why Eric feared he was running out of time. Upstairs, Eric took some meds and coughed into a handkerchief again, but he looked relieved to see there wasn't any blood this time. At the Cliff House on Thursday's BNB episode, Hope Logan, Annika Noel, brought over Kelly Spencer's, Sophia Pars McKinley, favorite pillow since she was missing it terribly. Steffi Forrester, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, had texted Hope about the pillow, so Hope dropped it off to be included in John Finnegan's, Tanner Novlin, next package to Europe. After Hope opened up about having trouble sleeping lately, Finn related her complicated life and said he knew about what happened in Rome. Once Finn admitted that Hope was better than Thomas Forrester, Matthew Atkinson, he acknowledged that he probably shouldn't speak that way about his brother-in-law. Even so, Finn wanted what was best for Hope and thought maybe she should listen to the naysayers. After Finn made Hope a hot beverage, they sat down to talk for a while. Hope opened up about adjusting to her new normal and sometimes feeling sad about all those years with Liam Spencer's Scott Clifton, divided heart. Although Hope never doubted Liam's love for her, she unfortunately never doubted his love for Steffi either. Hope suddenly realized it was awkward to say that to Steffi's husband, so she assured Finn that she didn't want to undermine his marriage. Finn understood and felt like Hope was drawn to Thomas because he offered her unwavering devotion. Thomas was focused on Hope and only Hope, but Finn questioned if she really wanted to be with him considering their messy history. Hope ultimately reflected on how she swore she'd never be like her mom and put up with a divided heart like Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang, had done with Ridge. Of course, Hope ended up perpetuating the same cycle, so she broke down in tears and wondered if it was really that much to ask to be loved by a man who loved only her. Hope apologized for the tears and said it was embarrassing, but Finn pulled her into a comforting embrace and offered reassurance. At Deacon Sharp's Sean Cannon place, he vowed to get Sheila Carter, Kimberlyn Brown, a ring as they worried about both Hope and Finn's reactions. Sheila said they should probably keep their engagement on the down low until they figured out how to break the news. Later, Sheila kept calling Deacon her fiancé just because she liked the sound of it. Deacon and Sheila knew their engagement updates would eventually send shockwaves, so Deacon said Hope and Brooke would be stunned, to say the least. Nevertheless, Deacon had to believe that he could get through to them after a while, especially Hope. Sheila sincerely wished that for Deacon and wished that Finn could be free of Steffi. Deacon asked if Sheila wanted Finn's marriage to end, so Sheila assured him that she wasn't a threat to Steffi and just wanted a place in her son's life. After Deacon said he believed in Sheila, he gave her a hug. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Sheila and Deacon's relationship will indeed kick off some chaos, so stick with the CBS soap. He remembered her from before. She was nice. She made RJ smile. He nodded solemnly, understanding the unspoken rule of the game. "Is RJ coming?" he whispered back. "I hope so," Luna breathed, her voice trembling with emotion. "It's a surprise." Before their covert conversation could continue, Eric Forrester's voice echoed from the entrance hall.
"Will,
"Did you find it, son?" Will gave Luna one last, significant look before scampering out of the room, calling back, "Coming, Grandpa." Luna sank back into the shadows, her heart pounding. That was too close. Her secret was safe with Will, a tiny, unexpected ally in her romantic quest, but the encounter had rattled her. She was truly in the lion's den now. Back at the main house, as evening settled, RJ was growing restless. The creative high from his work with his father had faded, replaced by a lingering melancholy. He missed Luna. Her absence was a constant, dull ache. Needing space to think, he announced he was heading to the beach house to work on some new designs for the Hope for the Future line, a place that always stirred his creativity. The moment he stepped through the door, he felt it, a shift in the atmosphere. The house wasn't empty. A faint, familiar scent of jasmine hung in the air. His guard went up, then his heart skipped a beat. He moved slowly into the living area, and there, standing by the large window overlooking the moonlit Pacific, was the figure he had been dreaming of for weeks. "Luna?" The name was a disbelieving breath, a prayer answered. She turned, her beautiful face a canvas of apprehension and hope, tears already glistening in her eyes. "RJ." For a long moment, they just stared at each other, the space between them charged with 1,000 unspoken words. The silence was thick, heavy with the weight of their separation. "What are you doing here?" he finally asked, his voice soft, taking a tentative step forward. "How did you get in?" "The spare key," she said, a small, shaky smile touching her lips. "You said for emergencies." "RJ, leaving like that, without explaining, it was the biggest mistake of my life. My mother, she was so scared. She insisted we go back to San Francisco immediately. She thought she was protecting me from getting hurt." "Hurt by me?" RJ's brow furrowed in confusion and a touch of pain.
"No."
"Not by you. Never by you," Luna insisted, her voice gaining strength as she closed the distance between them. "It's complicated. She has her own history, her own fears about this world, about the Forresters. But I couldn't let her fears dictate my life. Not when I feel the way I do about you." RJ was silent, processing her words, the walls he had begun to build around his heart starting to crumble. "You could have called, texted, something, Luna. I thought you changed your mind about us." A single tear traced a path down her cheek. "I know, and I am so sorry. Every day I was away, I thought of you. I thought of our talks here, in this very room. I thought of your passion, your kindness, the way you see the world. My mother tried to erase you from my life, but she couldn't. You're etched into my soul, RJ Forrester." Her raw honesty shattered the last of his reservations. He crossed the room in 2 long strides and pulled her into his arms, holding her as if she were the most precious, fragile thing in the world. She melted into his embrace, her tears flowing freely now, a mixture of relief, joy, and the "I missed you so much," he murmured into her hair, his own voice thick with emotion. They stood there for a long time, wrapped in each other, the world outside ceasing to exist. When they finally pulled apart, he cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs wiping away her tears. "You're here now. That's all that matters." But as they sat together on the sofa, hands intertwined, Luna knew the hardest part was yet to come. She had her reunion, but the shadow of her mother's secret, the real, terrifying reason Poppy was so desperate to keep her away from Los Angeles and the Forresters, loomed larger than ever. She had defied Poppy to follow her heart, but in doing so, She had stepped directly into the epicenter of the very storm her mother had tried to shield her from. As Luna and RJ began to tentatively rebuild their connection, talking in hushed, urgent tones, the audience was left with a palpable sense of impending doom. Luna was back in RJ's arms, right where she wanted to be, but she was also a secret ticking bomb nestled in the heart of the Forrester family. Her presence, and the truth she unknowingly carried, had the potential to unravel decades of history and ignite a scandal that would make all of Los Angeles tremble. The calm of the moonlit beach house was merely the eye of the hurricane, and the winds of change were beginning to howl, immense pressure of her journey finally releasing.